admittedly, I did start with quite a nerve-wracking KBS ratio, and my internet test was pretty distressing too. We will see if that is a problem. Mm. Shouldn't be a problem. Hello, Ragloss. Okay. Hello. So we have some business to settle before we get started. Number one, can you hear me? Nerve-wracking amount of time it's taking for you to say yes. You should be able to hear me. The stream says you can hear me. The my audio board. Okay, good. That's a good start. Number two is how do I sound? Now because I have various means of like I have a kind of sound dampener here for if it sounds too sharp, like there's a muffle. Hello, Jamie. Nice to see you. Um, so yes, so I can put something over the mic end to uh gentle the sound, I guess, to make it not so sharp. Also, how loud do I sound? Do you want me to be louder? All of these things. Okay. All right then. Okay, I sound great right now. I might. Hello, Honeybee. Nice to have you in. Hello, Amenzizi. Oh, we're having everybody in today. Excellent. Good and very clear is exactly what I want. Do you want it louder or quieter or anything? Because I've already. And there's Jess. Hello. Yes, I know. We are minister. Listen, you can't get me started. We have to make sure that the microphone is well set up for these streams before I even begin to think about Minister. Uh, I'm glad the mic sounds good. Yes, admittedly, I've been testing it out, and I have to say, you don't know how bad you had it until you listen to the previous stream, and then you listen to just any recording of my voice with this one, which is yeah. Anyway, so yes, the only question I have is whether you want me louder or quieter. Um, well, I can try turning myself up. I've already turned myself up quite a bit, is the problem, because usually I'm quite close to the mic. Uh, filters? Can I have no filter? No noise suppression. Okay, I've turned off noise suppression. Does that help at all? And I will. No, not. It's loud enough for you. Okay, that's good. What about? What was it? Ah, yes. Here. Yes, I've turned up the volume. I'm already at 160. Ah, there's me buzzing in there. Okay, we'll turn that back on. Okay, we'll turn the noise suppression back on then. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Uh, excellent. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so that's yep, back on now. Um, and the horror for everybody. Everyone's like, no, put it back on. No. Okay, well, noise suppression on now, so that should be better. Um, and anything else that I can think of? Um, God, you all really suffered through my microphone, didn't you? It is very satisfying to be able to stop talking and then just see the volume of my mic just go down to zero because it's just not picking up anything, and that's wonderful. Yeah, it's just nothing. I'm silent other than my voice, which is very helpful. Okay. I'm gonna briefly put on this the microphone like head. the microphone head to see if that helps at all with anything else, but I'll probably not use that. So apologies for the sonic disturbance that's about to arrive. Okay, how does that sound? Does that sound any better? Can you even notice? Do you is it any worse or better? Would it be just easier if I just had it off or on? No change. Okay. Am I quieter or anything like that? I might leave it on just because I think it's supposed to stop sharper noises from happening, maybe. Not sure. Okay. Nobody noticed anything. Okay, so if you didn't. Oh, I see. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, well, that's actually probably a good idea. Thank you for telling me that, Jamie. Um, okay. Right. Well, I mean, I guess actually no, I'm not going to be talking into the microphone now I think about it. I'm going to be talking down onto the book. So actually that might not be. Okay, we'll take that off because I'm not going to be talking into a microphone. I'm going to be talking. Eh, eh. Okay. All right then. Put that aside. Right. Right. Okay. Um I think that's it. I think we're set up. We have a new mic. People can hear me now. There are no more ghosts. I've exorcised the ghosts from the stream. And that should be that. Might wait just a few more minutes for people to arrive, but yeah, we're set up. We are set up. Very satisfying. And the internet seems to be holding after giving me a very worrying internet test first time I had a look at it, so that's good too. Um, did I have a preamble today? I feel like I did. Oh, of course, yes. The I just wanted to ramble on about the seminar. I know this is true. Yes, the Return of the King is happening, and it's very and like you don't understand you don't understand how quickly we're gonna get to me just be like really this is we're getting into the parts. Oh, Golem Game 2! Oh, there's so much to talk about actually this week. There's actually a lot to talk about this week in the preamble. We only have 6 viewers. So we've had a very Tolkien week this week. We had in the weekend we had the superb Tolkien seminar, which was very enjoyable, despite there being certain parts where I was like, oh, sure, but that's Tolkien seminars. That's what they do, and it was and of course the first the first presentation was definitely my favorite, but I really enjoyed the. I'm still thinking about the Soviet era illustrations of of Lord of the Rings. I still need to go back and look at that. I haven't gone to do that. Um, but yes, no, the Golem game. The Golem game has been given a trailer, which is actually I started out this journey. This journey that me and the Golem game have taken is very complicated. I started out this journey like why is this a thing that we're getting? Nobody wants this. This is a terrible idea. I don't know what, but I was being a bastard then. I was being a bastard. I hadn't thought. I hadn't considered. And I was just being a pessimistic asshole. But actually, upon further reflection, I started getting quite excited about it, especially after they started showing the trailers, which had this kind of quite nice, like even when they were just showing it in Mordor, it had a quite nice, more kind of cartoonish element to it, more fantasy style, which I was really enjoying. I prefer that for Lord of the Rings. But then, just this week, they released a trailer with Thranduil and Gandalf and the mouth of Sauron, and they all look and Mirkwood looks so beautiful, like luscious, almost tropical beautiful, which is so exciting. And you've got like yes, of course, Jamie, we saw the briefest. I don't even think it was actually in-game footage. I'm pretty sure that was just still like constant, like really really ramped up concept art. Like they did only just show like the gates of Moria, but it's definitely there. It was, but that was really exciting. There was a pillar, yes, there was a pillar from Moria, and I'm still like, you did see it. You did see it. Yeah, and I saw it too, and I'm super excited about it. And like we saw, and the I don't know what the astrarium was going to be about, but we saw this very interesting astrarium, which could be evil, like evil astrarium, but I don't know why it would be an evil astrarium. Um, yes, or maybe it's in the Mirkwood. I don't know, but it was great, and I was, and God, Thranduil. I'm still thinking about Thranduil's beautiful design of just far more intricate and interesting with more depth to it. Like none of this boring, like completely stale cloth. It was so pretty. It was so pretty. He had a mantle. He had wooden pauldrons. He had a beautiful sword, saber, actually, I should say. Ugh, it was so pretty. And his beautiful crown. Ugh, it was beautiful. Truly. So I'm actually still very hyped about that. I need to show my mum. Yes, he does. It's so cool. It's so good. Like they didn't just go, well, we'll put wood on him. They were like, what if we added wood into his aesthetic? And then they were like, okay, but it should be more rounded. There needs to be a kind of more pattern like aesthetic to it. So yes, it all like it's like they've used a kind of oh, damn it, a wicker style thing, but they haven't woven it. It's like built in with slats. Ah, it's so good. It looks so good, and I'm so excited now. And his crown, he has leaves and horns on his crown, but he looks. He did look like a big beetle, which is perfect for Thranduil. Superb, pristine, very exciting, very exciting stuff. Yes. Also, oh God, actually, we got so much. I had a very emotional week this week because we also got the information that not only has Jeff Bezos stepped down from being the CEO of Amazon, which is terrifying as a thing, but we also got the information that he's doing it so that he can. He's also now. I don't know if he did it because of or just this happened, but now he's moved to LA and is going to personally oversee the Amazon Lord of the Rings uh 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 show. He's personally overseeing it, and that is terrifying beyond words. I can't express. I was beginning to have a little bit of hope for this show uh recently. I was beginning to have the niggles, well, I mean that's I mean it's true. Actually, you know what, it's true. Oh, that makes sense. Yes. Well, if he stays in space, then he will. You know what? It's true. I saw this news from the OneRing.net, and now that I think about it, I should have dug deeper into that source because the OneRing.net regularly posts just outright lies. Like God, like the recent one where they just retweeted this person who said, "Did you all know that Tolkien was the founder or supported the creation of a lesbian literature club in Oxford?" And I'm like, that's not true. Like, I didn't even have to look it up to know that that wasn't true. Then I did look it up, and it's like super not true. And it's like, Jesus. Anyway, um, yeah, it's just it's just too much content for me. It's just too much content for me. I'm perfectly happy being a Lord of the Rings nerd and just making my own content. Like the most excitement I want is for somebody else to come in and have a new take in the fandom. Like, that's already too exciting. Already too much for me. Already too much stimulation. I actually need everyone to calm down at that point, and I need to go and settle and have a think about it. But no, now I have a film, an anime film, a series coming out, the Gollum game, seminars. Nazis are trying to take down the Tolkien Society. It's too much. It's too much for me. I'm a quiet fan. I like that. Oh, Hex Quantum, hello. Hex Quantum, have you not not seen the Gollum game? Hex Quantum, you need to go onto YouTube right now and type in Nacom Nacom Gollum game. You need to type in Nacom Gollum game, and it is a game where you play as Gollum. And at the moment, it's looking like we're actually going to get, like, I'm still trying to figure out if this is the case or not. I can't in my mind think narratively where would be a good place to end a game about Gollum other than his death. But like it would make so much more sense if we went the whole way through to the end, which would mean that I would get to cover Aragorn in green slime, which I've been wanting to do for so long. It's been an ideal of mine. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked, but I read before that he was overseeing his shows to some degree, but apparently he's less active now. Okay, maybe that's the case. Prince Emerson says, oh no, is Tolkien Universe turning into the next Marvel Universe? Well, no, because of what Rakros just said. It's not owned by one company. Like, these are all different companies. Like, the anime is being created. I actually have no idea how the anime is working out, but it's being created from a different company to the Amazon show, and Golem Game is also being created by a different company as compared to all of those other companies. I actually think like all this content that we're getting is all from different sources, which I'm fine with. I actually want, it's what I want, it's what I desire. The fucking lore around it is so complicated and irritating, because technically we should be getting close. We should be getting close to like we should be getting close to the like the point where Lord of the Rings becomes free use, but it's not going to happen in our lifetime. It's not going to happen in our lifetime because of weird, complicated legal issues. So that's sad, but no, I don't actually think it can be, like, actually Tolkien I think Tolkien actually literally put it in a will somewhere that Disney is not allowed to make stuff for the Lord of the Rings. I think he literally put something about how he legally made it not, they can't sell rights to Disney. I actually think, man, I need to read up on that as well, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. But yes, I'm the idea that we could bite and throw mud at Aragorn is, yeah. I read an article that said that he did that. Replying to Rakros, yes, I read an article that said that he did that because he literally just did not like Disney at the time, which I could understand. It was probably everywhere by the time he was there. But no, if they aren't if the Lord of the Rings rights aren't held by only one company, because the Tolkien estate is still a controlling factor in all of these decisions. They all have controlling rights over these stuff, so they're still here. So they nobody has the right to run roughshod over Lord of the Rings as of yet. This could all turn terribly. We could have this, like, this could be an issue in the future, but it's not right now. We don't have to worry about that right now. All I'm saying is there's too much content for me, because I'm too I only need one. Oh god, what happened to the Twitch chat? Hey, Twitch chat. Where did you go? Can you all see the Twitch chat still? Yes, the film rights were sold, but the game rights are different. They're different game rights. Oh, it's back again for me? Is it back for you? You've all vanished. It's terrible. No, you're back now for me. Um anyway, enough about the terrifying things. It's back. Yeah, good. Okay. It is back, and we shall actually. So here we go. It's the time has finally come where the time has finally come where we must now do this, and you must now witness me in a very unique light. Uh uh and 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 I need to tell you, I need to prepare you all. We're not gonna get through much of this chapter. We're not. I'm gonna stop a lot. A lot of stopping will happen, and I can't do anything about that. There's not that I don't have control over whether that happens or not. So that's gonna be I'm gonna be doing that a lot. I also realized before starting this that I've kind of lost Gandalf's voice at some point. So if he sounds a little bit weird, I'm just trying to get back into the groove with him. Meanwhile, Denethor's voice I still have yet to be completely happy with. So we're gonna figure that out together. We're gonna figure that out together. Okay. Now we will go to the actual stream. And we will. There we go. We have a walking video. Well, I'm glad I'm going to be giving you exactly what you wanted then, Hannah Beck. That's perfect. Uh, uh, we are. We have a new video that I took literally just now, so it's a little bit choppy, but this is a video from Gandalf riding. Well, the idea is that it's riding along the northern side of the White Mountains through the Beacon Hills, and then we're going to get to Minas Tirith. Admittedly, in the game, yeah, yes, in the game, you don't have you're not allowed to go to the Beacon Hills before the Rohirrim have passed through it. But that's actually quite cool because you can see all of the like what's the word? The ah the camps, the war camps of the Rohirrim, which are wonderfully done and huge and sprawling. It really feels like a big war camp, so it's great. Anyway, let's. Oh, have I? Okay, good. Just worried for a second there that I'd muted myself by going here, but no, we're ready. Jess will be dying properly, like for real. But me, you're gonna hear me just die in media res. But just realized breaking from the left is on. We'll turn that off. Okay, we're ready. We're ready to do this. We won't read the synopsis. I did read a bit of the synopsis and I realized that it was wrong in places. Amusingly, even the synopsis doesn't actually has a few little niggles of that's actually not what happened. But yeah. However, the first chapter is called Minas Tirith, so that's so let's just I guess we're just gonna get started. Gonna have another. And in fact, I'm going to scoot my chair a little bit closer. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. I'm fine. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm fine. Chapter 1. Minas Tirith. Pippin looked out from the shelter of Gandalf's cloak. He wondered if he was awake or still sleeping, still in the swift-moving dream in which he had been wrapped for so long, since the great ride began. The dark world was rushing by, and the wind sang loudly in his ears. He could see nothing but the wheeling stars, and away to his right vast shadows against the sky where the mountains of the south marched past. Sleepily he tried to beckon the times and stages of their journey, but his memory was drowsy and uncertain. There had been the first ride at terrible speed without a halt, and then in the dawn he had seen a pale gleam of gold, and they had come to the silent town and the great empty house on the hill, and hardly had they reached its shelter when the winged shadow had passed over once again, and men wilted with fear. But Gandalf had spoken soft words to him, and he had slept in a corner, tired but uneasy, dimly aware of comings and goings, and of men talking and Gandalf giving orders. And then again riding in the night. This was the second, no, the third night since he had looked in the stone, and with that hideous memory he woke fully, and shivered, and the noise of the wind became filled with menacing voices. A light kindled in the sky, a blaze of yellow fire behind dark barriers. Pippin cowered back, afraid for a moment, wondering into what dreadful country Gandalf was bearing him. He rubbed his eyes, and then he saw that it was the moon, rising above the eastern shadows, now almost at the full. So the night was not yet old, and for hours the dark journey would go on. He stirred and spoke. "Where are we, Gandalf?" he asked. "In the realm of Gondor," the wizard answered. "The land of Anorion is still passing by." There was a silence again for a while. Then, "What is that?" cried Pippin suddenly, clutching at Gandalf's cloak. "Look! Fire! Red fire! Are there dragons in this land? Look, there's another!" For answer, Gandalf cried aloud to his horse. "On, Shadowfax! We must hasten. Time is short. See, the beacons of Gondor are alight, calling for aid. War is kindled. See, there is the fire on Amondine, the flame of Eilenach, and there they go speeding west, Nardol, Erelas, Min Rimon, Calenhad, and the Halthirian on the borders of Rohan." But Shadowfax paused in his stride, slowing to a walk, and then he lifted up his head and neighed, and out of the darkness the answering neigh of other horses came, and presently the thudding of hoofs was heard, and 3 riders swept up and passed like flying ghosts in the moon, and vanished into the west. Then Shadowfax gathered himself together and sprang away, and the night flowed over him like a roaring wind. Pippin became drowsy again, and paid little attention to Gandalf telling him of the customs of Gondor, and how the lord of the city had built beacons on the tops of outlying hills along both borders of the great range, and maintained posts at these points where fresh horses were always in readiness to bear his errand riders to Rohan in the north, or to the Belfalas in the south. "It is long since the beacons of the north were lit," he said, "and in the ancient days of Gondor they were not needed, for they had the 7 stones." Pippin stirred uneasily. "Sleep again, and do not be afraid," said Gandalf. "For you are not going like Frodo to Mordor, but to Minas Tirith, and there you will be as safe as you can be anywhere in these days. If Gondor falls, or the ring is taken, then the Shire will be no refuge." "You do not comfort me," said Pippin, but nonetheless sleep crept over him. The last thing that he remembered before he fell into the deep dream was a glimpse of high white peaks, glimmering like floating isles above the clouds as they caught the light of the westering moon. He wondered where Frodo was, and if he was already in Mordor, or if he was dead. And he did not know that Frodo from far away looked on that same moon as it set beyond Gondor ere the coming of the day. So, okay, I was going to stop anyway. So, the point is that that the riders are being sent from the posts from on the beacons. So all the beacons have riders that also go out, even though the beacons themselves are also supposed to be a like registering for Gondor, calling aid. But the actual riders themselves will go out with actual messages to anywhere. They'll go either way down the mountain. I'm admittedly I am unsure about where those specific riders were meant to be going. I can't imagine that both of them that one of them was Hirgen. I think Hirgen comes later. Or does he? Actually, no, one of those riders was probably Hirgen, as far as I'm aware. He's coming with the red arrow. I think he should be by now. Yes? Maybe. Hard to tell. Hard to say. But yes, these are just messenger riders coming. Oh dear. My dog's having a big long bark. Yes, Jürgen, my boy. We're getting to him in, well, not that soon actually, it'll be a while. But Jürgen should, yes, no, it should be Jürgen now. It should be Jürgen now because he is the one who arrives and gets them all to start doing stuff in the first place. So yes, that was Jürgen. No, I'm pretty sure that was Jürgen. I'm going to be proven wrong moments later, but I think that's Hiegon because they have to get the red arrow to him first. The red arrow to Theoden first. Um, but God, the beauty of this whole scene of them riding through the night and seeing the beacons lit up. Like the beacons in the film are great. I actually the beacons in the film, the way that they're lit up is still amazing and beautiful and wonderful and great. Admittedly, I would have preferred them to not just be like piles of sticks on the top of a mountain. The whole point of them is that they were settled. They like had like people lived there, or at least they had to, they were garrisoned there. They had to have horses. They should have had like a stable and a way down from the mountain. A bunch of stuff should have been there. But the actual just the wide shot of them going from in the night from peak to peak was it's still a shot that can set me completely crazy. So we'll give the film some props for that because it was so beautiful as that. Um, uh, it's true. Howard Shore does have a lot to do with that. The music of it is what really brings it up. Yeah, but the visuals are also like superb. Like this one time, as much as they like completely discarded the idea of there being any culture to Gondor, they were just like, well, just put a bunch of sticks up there and it'll be fine. But the visuals of going of the lights going from is still just amazing, super. Also, I like because there's a bit here, where they come to a uh uh like a settlement somewhere. They where Gandalf arrives somewhere in the middle of the Beacon Hills. I think he's still, yeah, he must be still there. I don't know who he's commanding. I assume it must be a I don't think it would be a no, they haven't even gotten, no, well, they haven't gotten to the Ramus yet, but that makes sense. But they shouldn't be through the Beacon Hills by the time Gandalf arrives at the settlement. It's hard to tell. I feel like that would be still in Calenathan. Anyway, never mind. We have to. Uh, we have to. Okay. Uh. Sorry. No. No. Nope. Okay. Um. Right. Pippin woke to the sounds of voices. Another day of hiding and a night of journey had fleeted by. It was twilight, the cold dawn was at hand again, and chill grey mists were about them. Shadowfax stood steaming with sweat, but he held his neck proudly and showed no sign of weariness. Many tall men, heavily cloaked, stood beside him, and behind him, in the mist, loomed a wall of stone. Partly ruinous, it seemed, but already before the night was past the sound of hurried labour could be heard. beat of hammers, clink of trowels, and the creak of wheels. Torches and flares glowed dully here and there in the fog. Gandalf was speaking to the men that barred his way, and as he listened, Pippin became aware that he himself was being discussed. "Yea, truly, we know you, Mithrandir," said the leader of the men, "and you know the passwords of the 7 gates, and are free to go forward. But we do not know your companion. What is he? A dwarf out of the mountains in the north? We wish no strangers in the land at this time, unless they be mighty men of arms, whose faith and help we can trust." "I will vouch for him before the seat of Denethor," said Gandalf. "And as for valour, that cannot be computed by stature. He has passed through more battles and perils than you have, Ingold, though you be twice his height, and he comes now from the storming of Isengard, of which we bear tidings, and great weariness is on him, or I would wake him. His name is Peregrine, a very valiant man." "Man," said Ingold dubiously, and the others laughed. "Man!" cried Pippin, now thoroughly roused. "Man! Indeed not! I am a hobbit, and no more valiant than I am a man, save perhaps now and again, by necessity. Do not let Gandalf deceive you." "Well, many a doer of great deeds might say no more," said Ingold. "But what is a hobbit?" "A halfling," answered Gandalf. "Nay, not the one that was spoken of," he added, seeing the wonder in the men's faces. "Not he, yet one of his kindred." "Yes, and one who journeyed with him," said Pippin. "And Boromir of your city was with us, and he saved me in the snows of the north, and, at the last, he was slain, defending me from many foes." "Peace," said Gandalf. "The news of that grief should have been first told. The news of that grief should have been told first to the father." "It has been guessed already," said Ingold, "for there have been strange portents here of late. Pass now quickly, for the Lord of Minas Tirith will be eager to see any that bear the latest tidings of his son, be he man or—" "Hobbit," said Pippin. "Little service can I offer to your lord, but what I can do I would do, remembering Boromir the Brave." "Well, fare you well," said Ingold, and the men made way for Shadowfax, and he passed through a narrow gate in the wall. "May you bring good counsel to Denethor in his need, to us all, Mithrandir," Ingold cried. "But you come with tidings of grief and danger, as is your wont, they say." "Because I come seldom but when my help is needed," answered Gandalf. "And as for counsel to you, I would say that you are overlate in repairing the wall of the Pelennor. Courage will now be your best defence against the storm that is at hand, that and such hope as I bring. For not all the tidings that I bring are evil. But leave your trowels and sharpen your swords." "The work will be finished ere evening," said Ingold. "This is the last portion of the wall to be put in defence, the least open to attack, for it looks towards our friends of Rohan. Do you know aught of them? Will they answer the summons, you think?" "Yes, they will come, but they have fought many battles at your back. This road and no road looks towards safety any longer. Be vigilant. But for Gandalf Stormcrow, you would not have seen a host of foes coming out of Anorion. But for Gandalf Stormcrow, you would have seen a host of foes coming out of Anorion, and no riders of Rohan. And you may yet. Fare you well, and sleep not." He's so. Thanks, Gandalf. He's so encouraging. I feel so encouraged. So now we have to stop because there's a lot that just happened there, and we need to talk about all of it. So first, I forgot they didn't actually say it. We're at the Ramus. This is the Ramus Echor, which is the surrounding wall that surrounds the whole of the Pelennor Fields, technically, and I think about it all the time. I think about it all the time. So and oh god, the fact that it's having to be repaired at all, like the way Gandalf arrives and is like obviously I know everything that's going on and that's happening here, but no, obviously they've been fighting already, and the Ramus needed to be repaired for many reasons, and they've only just sorted out the evacuations and regarrisoning the bugger. Bugger. Damn it. The island. Fuck. Ah, God, I've completely lost the name of the island that's in the middle of the Anduin. It begins with a C. Oh, I'm dying. This is painful. I'm hurt right now. This is hurts. Thank you so much, Jamie. Care Andros. That's it. They're having to re garrison Care Andros. They're having to deal with the fact that um that Osgiliath is now barely being held on and actually well won't be for much longer, and just the amount of stuff that is having to happen at the moment and the few number of men they have to do it all, and Gandalf has the gall, the nerve to arrive and say you're late repairing it. You don't actually know what you're doing. You should actually probably just be ready to fight instead of fixing a wall. And no, and the way Ingol manages to say in a very polite terms, actually, fuck you. We know exactly what we're doing. We literally just, we already fixed the rest of the wall. The miles and miles long wall. We've already fixed the rest of it. This is the last section. So shut up, Gandalf. Go and talk to Denethor and stop being irritating. Anyway, so that's that. The bit where Gandalf says Peregrine has seen more battle than Ingold is crazy. What does he mean? What the hell does he mean? Like uh, that can't be true. Like it actively cannot be true if Ingold is the captain of the Ramasekor. Or is but he's not the captain, is he? I mean, I guess no, he's the gate ward. So I guess maybe that's the case. Maybe Gandalf's literally just saying, "Listen, you're a gate ward. You don't actually fight any wars. You just stay here." Okay, I don't know why you would say that. You're right, Gandalf can fix the bloody wall if it's so goddamn important to him. Gandalf should pick up a trowel and do something. Um, so, I mean, I guess okay. With that in mind, if Ingold has always been a captain at the gate at the northern gate of the Ramasekor, maybe that would make sense for him to have had seen less battle than Pippin. Though again, it still doesn't make sense. Like they still need to fix the wall. Obviously, they've seen battle. Obviously, they've seen this has been an issue for a while. Like what? How? Like Pippin at sea. How much battle has Pippin seen? He's seen the siege on Isengard, and that's it, as far as I can tell. Like he hasn't even killed anybody yet. He didn't even chop off any of the arms. It was Merry who did all of that. Why is Gandalf lying to this poor beleaguered. He's so tired. I feel for Ingold so much. He's so polite though. Um. Ugh. You're absolutely right. Desser has figured it out. He's just trying to make sure that nobody knows what the hell's going on. He's lit because Gandalf knows. Gandalf knows what he's done here. He's arrived into a place with a guy who is very who's cleverer than he is maybe, and he needs to yes because he's the worst and he needs to control the flow of information. You're absolutely right. And you know what? You know what? I did a post this morning about how the only time that Gandalf in the film is like book canon like character in character is when he's doing something that the book canon Gandalf doesn't do, which is try and keep Boromir's death from Denethor. However, I've just realized the reason he couldn't do that was because Pippin told Ingold that he was dead. And so it's absolutely so actually it's absolutely plausible that he entirely meant to do it. He super meant to keep Boromir's death from Denethor, but as soon as Pippin said it, and then Ingolf was like, "No, we already knew." He gave up that idea, but he was totally going to because he said to Pippin, "No, no, 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 no. Denethor should be told first." Well, I don't think he would have told him then. Yes, but I think he's lying. He's lying to say that. He's in front of Ingold. It's not like he can turn to Pippin and go, "Shh, I wasn't going to tell him that." I believe this now. I believe this now. I think actually surprisingly the film that part in the film was actually quite in canon. Gandalf would have tried to keep it from Denethor. Anyway. What else? Yes, the bit where he says "sleep not," very funny. Also the bit where Gandalf fucking takes every single ounce of credit for the battle at Helm's Deep, and the Ents destroying Isengard, and Merry and Pippin doing that with the Ents, and the fact that the Rohirrim survived. Like, he takes every single ounce of credit for all of that. The fact that when he does that, super, I uh, like, okay, 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 Gandalf. Did you need that? Was that something you needed to, like, obviously you're having a day. Like, you needed somebody to tell you that you were the best or whatever. I so he really does. He literally says, "But for Gandalf's Stormcrow, you would have seen a host of foes coming out of Anorion." I don't think. Maybe they would have figured it out without you, Gandalf. Maybe they would have figured it out without you. I think quite a lot of what you did was actually somebody else could have done it. Actually. Um. Anyway, Gandalf is an actual angel. Yeah. Exactly, Honeybee. I'm sorry, Gandalf. I didn't realize your name was literally Hammer the Door Ward. I'm sorry, I didn't know. You get a picture of everybody who was involved in the Battle of Helm's Deep, like with Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli and Theoden and Gandalf and everybody and all of and Éomer and everybody, and it's like the garrison at Helm's Deep at 100% power, and then you take all of them away and except for Hammer, and it's like the garrison at Helm's Deep at 99% power. Like, they hewed his body in the front of the Hornburg, and yet Saruman still lives because of this man, because of this angel. He's still alive. Yes, exactly. Our victory. Terrible. Anyway, um, I'm so sorry. I need to briefly pop away and go to the loo, but I'll be back in a sec. Ugh. Also, of course, obligatory reminder that at this moment, Faramir is still holding the western half of Osgiliath, which Boromir retook. The whole of us. I just have to keep reminding you of this. The whole of Osgiliath was taken. Boromir returned because he was fighting in the south, because he was the one who witnessed because the whole thing where I realized this a while back. The whole thing with the battles where the Nazgul arrived and the what am I thinking of the battles where the Nazgul arrive and it stirs all of the orcs into all of the Haradrim, I think, actually all of them into a frenzy, and it sends the men of Gondor running, fleeing. It's a complete loss. It's a rout. So Boromir was witnessed that. So he was in those fights in the south, which means he must have come from the south with the routed remnants of his men, and then arrived at an already taken Osgiliath, and then pushed through the whole of the eastern side of the city to get to the bridge. The rest of his men went over the bridge and retook fucking the western side, and then he came back, pushed the orcs back at the eastern side of the bridge with whatever men he could keep, and blew up the bridge behind him, and then swam the whole of the Anduin back, the 3 mile Anduin, the 3 mile wide Anduin. He did that, and they've held it for like nearly a year now. They've held the western side, and that's why that's why Minas Tirith is evacuated. It's why they're able to have this time to rebuild the Aramasecor, and to re-garrison Caer Andros, and it just needed you all to remember. So just keep that in mind. So, okay, back to okay. Gandalf passed now into the wide land beyond the Ramas Ekor. So the men of Gondor called the outwall that they had built with great labour after Ithilien fell under the shadow of their enemy. For 10 leagues or more it ran from the mountain's feet, and so back again, enclosing it in its fence the fields of the Pelennor, fair and fertile townlands on the long slopes and terraces falling to the deep levels of the Anduin. Terraces, slopes and terraces and fertile townlands. Peter, Peter. Slopes, terraces. You rob me of terraces. There is no greater crime than to rob me of terraces, Peter Jackson. And I will never forgive you for it. Can you imagine hearing slopes and terraces and long falling into the deep levels of the Anduin, and then just giving me a just sparse, flat scrubland? Can you imagine? The crimes that this man has perpetrated against me and mine are so deep. I stand in front of his tower and I yell and I say, "We will have peace when you answer for the burning of the Pelennor fields. You will have peace when you see the terraces and long slopes that I did there. Yes, we will have peace when you hang from a gibbet." But anyway, I didn't mean that legally. Don't worry about it. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Hex Quantum. I haven't been able to look at your sketch because I need you to. I think the only way that it would work for the stream. In fact, I actually don't think I can even do it with the stream. I'm so sorry. I would look, but last time it gave us a very long delay, which I can't risk this time because you all need to hear me in media. You all need to be with me with this. There's a lot going on. At its furthest point from the great gate of the city, northeastward, the wall was 4 leagues distant, and there, from a frowning bank, it overlooked the long flats beside the river. And men had made it high and strong, for at that point, upon a walled causeway, the road came in from the fords and bridges of Osgiliath, and passed through a guarded gate between embattled towers. At its nearest point, the wall was little more than 1 league from the city, and that was southeastward. There, Anduin, going in a wide knee about the hills of Emen Arnon in south of Ithilien, bent sharply west, and the outwall rose upon its very brink, and beneath it lay the quays and landings of the Harland, for craft that came upstream from the southern fiefs. I think about the Harland so much. I think about the quays and the Harland so much. I don't think about them enough, but then every single time I think about them, it's because I don't think about them because I go a little bit too spare when I think about the quays of Harland. and the rivers and the ships and the wares that come up from the southern fiefs. I think about it. It's so beautiful. I think about it so much. Okay. The townlands were rich, with wide tithes and many orchards. Orchards! We will have peace when you. With many orchards and homesteads, there were with oast and garner, fold and beer, and many rills rippling through the green from the highlands down to Anduin. I'm not crying. Yet the herdsmen and the husbandmen that dwelt there were not many, and the most part of the people of Gondor lived in the seven circles of the city, or in the high vales of the mountain borders, in Lossarnach, or further south in fair Lebanon, with its 5 swift streams. There dwelt a hardy folk between the mountain and the sea. They were reckoned men of Gondor, yet their blood was mingled, and there were short and swarthy folk among them, whose sires came more from the forgotten men who housed in the shadow of the hills in the dark years, ere the coming of the kings. Okay, wait, sorry, just pause. I mean, irritating that he had to specify it, but it does actually, like, he just said it. Like, Tolkien just said it. There are brown people in Gondor. Like, he just said it. There are brown people in Gondor, canonically. At least if you wanted to be a real shithead, you could say only in Lebanon, but you know that's not the case. So there are brown people in Gondor. Everybody. Peter, in particular, but everybody else as well. There are brown people in Gondor in canon. Tolkien said so. No, it's good point. Let me reread that. Hardy folk between the mountains and the sea, they were reckoned men of Gondor, blah, 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 whose sires came more from the forgotten men who housed in the shadow of the hills. Yeah, no, so the forgotten men are literally just, they're literally just, they're called the forgotten men. They're still alive. Like, you're literally talking about them right now, but they're talking about the mountain men. These are the mountain men who the indigenous population of Gondor is what he's talking about. The indigenous population of Gondor is precisely who he's talking about. Yeah. Ah, and sorry, we're gonna just a brief Boromir trip. The fact that Boromir specifically says, "Oh, I'm having thoughts now." Boromir specifically says that he's good at mountains because he was born in under the shadows of the White Mountains. So, and again, we get this constant thing where Boromir is associated with middlemen, and Faramir is associated with being patronizing to middlemen. Like this, like literally, it's so. Yes, the native folk of Gondor were all brown. It's it's. I'm sorry. I'm replaying a lot of arguments that I've had with people. I totally forgot this section was even in here. But now I have it on tape, so I'll remember it now. Oof, this is rough though. Now that I think about it again, because they're literally. Yes, exactly, exactly. We hate. I, it's always every single time I come to a character who to Tolkien describing ethnic groups. It's always because it's always more brown than you expect it to be, but in the worst possible, like in the most patronizing racist way possible as well. But it's still satisfying somehow, but just just I just I just need him to understand what he's doing. And again, because again, we have to go back to the fact that the men of Beor were also brown, and they also went to Numenor. And unless Tolkien wants to rise from his fucking grave and look me in the eye and tell me that becoming more close to the Blessed Lands turned them white, unless he wants to rise from his grave and his rotting corpse wants to come at me and say that before I can kill him again, that means that people were brown in Numenor as well. So whatever. Don't worry, I never let him say it. So we've got to keep going. Okay. Oh, they put these words. They put so many words that are so exactly honeybee. Like every single time, it's always that way. I actually prefer, like, this is why I like it that Tolkien does not actually describe much. Every single time he describes something, it makes me sad. Except the part where he was like, Galadriel is as tall as her husband and also has a really deep voice. I like that one, but that's the only one I liked. That's the only one I was into. Everybody else. Oh wait, sorry. I also like the part where he's constantly saying that Aragorn is ugly as hell. Is like ugly as sin. I like that part as well. Um, and the part where Sam is brown, like that part. The part where all of the, I suppose the part where all of the Harfoots are brown, quite like that. Quite into that one. Um, Surprised by that one potentially. Less surprised when he starts talking about the Fallowhides. Even less surprised when he says most hobbits are Harfoots, but we only have one brown character, brown hobbit, canonically in my in the books. I am, I am, yes, yes. Listen, yes, but with good reason. I deserve it. the amount that Aragorn puts me through, I deserve. I deserve it. Oh well, thank you, Hannibal. I'm glad. We have to get through this part with the orchards. That it's. I can do it. I can do it. Forgotten men who housed in the shadow of the hills in the dark years ere the coming of the kings. But beyond, in the great fief of Belfalas, dwelt Prince Imrahil in his castle of Dol Amroth by the sea, and he was of high blood, and his folk also, tall men, and proud with sea-grey eyes. Now, sorry, I have to keep stopping. He calls Dol Amroth a castle, not a city, which intrigues me. Uh, it intrigues me that Dol Amroth is not called a city here, which makes it sound like Imrahil and the Doam and the line, the princes, were they all just live in this like isolated castle on the edge of the they all live in the edge of this isolated castle at the edge of the middle of nowhere. We did make it one whole sentence, but I warned you. I did warn you, but yeah, we like. Mm, I don't know if I like that. I've gotten quite attached to the idea of Dol Amroth as a city. Well, but no, but why would he specify this? Like, yeah, but again, I'm not entirely sure if feudal. I think the whole concept of Gondor's political system is so complicated that it you just have to kind of, well, no, but I don't think they do. Like, because castles are very specific. Castles are different to fortresses. I mean, yes, exactly. Minas Tirith is a fortified city. It's the fact that Minas Tirith is called a city, but Dol Amroth is not. Yeah, exactly. The fact yeah, thank you, Jamie. That's my thinking. No, well, listen, we'll go through it. Well, obviously, Prince Imrahil here should tell us. Hey, Prince Imrahil, do you live in a castle in the middle of nowhere, or are you living on a castle that's also with a city underneath it? Could tell us now, please. Clear up this inaccuracy. But anyway, I prefer the idea of it being a city because we don't get any other mention of a well-populated place that far west, which there must be. So it would make sense that Dol Amroth is that. Anyway, okay, maybe it is because it says dwelt Prince Imrahil in his castle of Dol Amroth by the sea. Maybe rather than of, meaning like Uh, uh, Meaning the of it's a city of sorry, castle of Dol Amroth, so it's a castle that is in Dol Amroth. Uh, uh, like yeah, so yeah, I think yes, exactly. And it's like yes, okay. I think we've sorted it out. It's in a big city. We'll keep going. It would make no sense for it not to be, so we'll just keep going. Okay. By the sea. And he was of high blood, and his folk also, tall men and proud with sea grey eyes. Again, we just have to just it's the only thing that I'm like I'm not gonna do this with you, Tolkien. You can't give every single fucking character grey eyes. Like I need him to understand. I know he loved his wife, thought she was very beautiful. Somebody in this goddamn book needs to not have grey eyes. Like you literally don't describe eyes unless they're grey. But every single time you describe a person, you describe their eyes and their hair, and they have grey eyes and black hair, unless it's Eowyn and Éomer who have grey eyes and blonde hair. And I can't do this with you, Tolkien. This is me telling you. This is one of the. I'm saying it to the ether. This is one of the things. If I ever was very rich and decided and managed to make an animated Lord of the Rings, this is one of the things I would change. Not every fucking person can have grey eyes. Well, maybe it's because they hadn't invented eyes in 1960. So maybe it's sorry, I didn't mean that. They hadn't invented other colors in 1960, of course. Well, that's because that's why because that's why all their film was gray. It was black and white. They didn't have any colors back then. No, but it can't be Prince Imrahil's because he has to specify it. I would love that to be the case. That would be cool. I would be into that concept, but because he has to keep specifying it, what it means is that they're important, so they all have grey eyes. But I can't bear that. I can't deal with it. No, stop! Don't listen. I'm very hyped right now. You need to let me have my my misspeakings. My miss. You need to let me misspeak. Yes, exactly. They only lived in grey and white, and they didn't have any other colors back then in 1960. So, hello, welcome in, Alexander. You're into you come into the midst of my my mania, essentially. And we haven't even gotten we've gone sentence by sentence for like 4 sentences now. I'm still on page 22. Okay. So, yes, he I all what I would do is I would just he says sea gray eyes, just make them have turquoise eyes, actually. The they can have like the princes of Dol Amroth, they can have gray eyes, actually. Just let them be. They can have sea eyes, like turquoise, kind of wine dark sea maybe eyes. Just that would be what I would do. I would make them have turquoise eyes rather than having grey eyes, because otherwise I just go spare. Now, after Gandalf had ridden for some time, the light of day grew in the sky, and Pippin roused himself and looked up. To his left lay a sea of mist, sorry, rising to a bleak shadow in the east, but to his right great mountains reared their heads, ranging from the west to a steep and sudden end, as if in the making of the land the river had burst through a great barrier, carving out a mighty valley to be a land of battle and debate in times to come. And there, where the white mountains of Ered Nimrais came to their end, he saw, as Gandalf had promised, the dark mass of Mount Mindilluin, the deep purple shadows of its high glens, and its tall face whitening in the rising day. uh, well, no, because the princes of Dol Amroth all trace their lineage back to Sindar elves. Uh, what was what was what was her name? the elf that was supposed to have married Imrazor? Fuck, what was her name? I don't fucking remember. How am I supposed to? I don't remember elves. I'm not gonna fucking remember elf names. Thank you, Hannibek. Mithralas. Mithralas was not. I don't even think Mithralas was a Sindar. Mithralas was a silvered elf, wasn't she? So they have they have some elven lineage, but they certainly don't have Noldor lineage in any respect. Unlike fucking Aragorn, I guess. And no. And no, yes, and Boromir. Probably. Most likely. To be confirmed. Oh well, no, because the reason I was saying that the princes of Dol Amroth would have sea turquoise eyes is because they say they have sea grey eyes. So you would so I would just take off the grey part and just put this and just leave the sea part in. The Noldor I would have to consult with a little bit longer, or not because they're elves. um, to his left, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna, we're gonna get to, we're gonna get to Minas Tirith. We're actually gonna get to Minas Tirith today at some point. Uh, the deep purple shadows of its high glens and its tall face whitening in the rising day. This is Mindilluin. And upon its outthrust knee was the guarded city, with its 7 walls of stone so strong and old that it seemed to have been not built out of carven with its 7 walls of stone so strong and old that it seemed to have been not builded but carven by giants out of the bones of the earth. This is one of my another issues that I have with actually even with we're about to get to it in the video, but in the films and in Lord of the Rings Online, they make Minas Tirith look like it's got these huge, like they make these huge blocks, these huge white blocks to make the walls, when all these walls should actually look smooth, essentially, or have really small bricks, like really small white bricks, so that it has a more uniform visual. I know. I was trying to figure that out too. I was like, is that a Tolkien? Is that a word? Build it? Are you sure? Built. Yes. Terrible. Terrible. Awful of him. uh, No, I actually, I'm sorry, Alexander. I can't stand Minas Tirith in the film. I have so many complaints. I could complain for 300 years about 300 years about Minas Tirith in the film. Uh, I would never stop complaining about Minas Tirith in the film, actually. But we have to move on. We have to move on. So I don't think there's one thing about Gondor that I even am neutral about in the film that Peter Jackson did. I think there is I can't even think of one thing that about Gondor, even down to like costume decisions, all of it, that I am neutral on. It is all bad, and I need Peter Jackson to turn on his location. Um just and I promise I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him about it. So we haven't even gotten to we haven't even the shapes of their horses. You know, I have a problem with that too. No, 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 I do have a problem. Sorry. No, no, I even have a problem with that because the point is that they shouldn't be shaped. They shouldn't be shaped like horses. They should be shaped like oxen, because the major beast of burden in Minas Tirith and Gondor in general is oxen, not horses. So I have no even the horses I have a problem with. And I mean I have a problem with the horses in general because of the fact that they fucking exist. Oh, do I have Jamie, get rid of it. Jamie, take him out. Take the shot. But yes. No, they don't have oxen horses, they have oxen full stop. to that, and they have some very few horses, more ponies than anything, to draw small carts. But most of their beasts of burden are oxen, big. Like if you like think about it, it's so cool. But also that's just a horse problem. I also have issue. No, they don't have battle oxen. I also have an issue with the fact that Faramir is on a horse at all, at any point. The fact that Faramir is on a horse galls me. Unless it was a horse to. Oh, you can't. Oh no. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Jamie. That's Battle oxen does sound cool, but they don't have battle oxen. They have beasts of burden, which are oxen, and then the Dol Amrothian knights have horses, and they have horses to run away. But other than that, horses and cavalry are not something that is mentioned a lot in Gondorian tactics, warring tactics. Faramir is only on a horse, as far as I can remember, is only on a horse to escape Osgiliath. He doesn't charge. Like they just lead. Like it's an escape horse, not a battle horse. He doesn't charge. He doesn't charge at. He doesn't charge at a city, as if that would help at all. Like he doesn't just. But we've got to get there. We will get there, and it'll be a thing that we'll talk about. No, I think just horses don't make sense for Gondor. It's a hot place. They don't it doesn't make sense for Gondor to have vast amounts of cavalry because of the I think I would say partly heat, partly just they they just didn't develop that way. Uh I have yet. You do get cavalry in hot places, but not in the way, but not in the kind of. I just think because in the if the cavalry that I'm thinking of in hot places have wide open spaces, whereas that is not Gondor. Gondor is a rolling hilled. Yes, they did have some. So yes, Gondor does have uh some horses, but the major thing. No, not alpacas, unfortunately. There is no mention of alpacas. I'm sorry. Okay, they can have donkeys. Yeah, but the thing is that as much as that's true, Jamie, it's just the fact that we have to deal with this because it's just canon that they just don't have that much cavalry. It's only Dol Amroth that has an actual mentioned cavalry. Everyone else arrives on foot. Everyone else, everyone else fights on foot. Forlong and uh Hirluin and Golaskill and Boromir and like they all there are no cavalries except for the Dol Amrothian cavalries. So this is I suppose is part of the thing that you should add into your add into your Tolkien doesn't have fucking military tactics here. He just doesn't fucking have any military tactics here, and it's all dumb and bad. Yes, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. Well, Jamie's angry now, so we can go. We can carry on. The guarded city has been carved from the bones of the earth. Even as Pippin gazed in wonder, the walls passed from looming grey to white, blushing faintly in the dawn, and suddenly the sun climbed over the eastern shadow and sent forth a shaft that smote the face of the city. Then Pippin cried aloud, for the tower of Ecthelion, standing high within the topmost wall, shone out against the sky, glimmering like a spire of pearl and silver, tall and fair and shapely, and its pinnacle glittered as if it were wrought of crystals, and white banners broke and fluttered from the battlements in the morning breeze, and high and far he heard a clear ringing as of silver trumpets. Yeah, fucking trans rights, yes. So Gandalf and Peregrine rode to the great gate of the men of Gondor at the rising of the sun, and its iron doors rolled back before them. Mithrandir, Mithrandir, men cried. Oh, now we know that the storm is indeed nigh. It is upon you, said Gandalf. I have ridden on its wings. Let me pass. I must come to your lord Denethor while his stewardship lasts. Whatever betide, you have come to the end of the Gondor that you have known. Let me pass. He I welcome in Rootless, that's it. Nice to have you in. What the hell is he talking? What? It what? He just fucking this man just walks into a city and just it's like by the way, I'm literally here to crumble your political government. I'm here for your government to just be destroyed. It's like Gandalf being on Shadowfax just kills any kind of in like emotional intelligence he has. Like he just rides around saying shit that make people miserable. And uh I I just I can't deal with him. Now stop talking about the phallic nature of the Tower of Ecthelion. Stop talking about the phallic nature of the Tower of Ecthelion. Listen to the, I'm so I listen. I was gonna pass over Dess's trans rights because I was trying to get reading. But if you all are going to be talking about the Tower of Ecthelion, then I have to all tell you that Ecthelion was trans. Ecthelion the first, not the second, the first was a trans man, and he's the one who built the tower because he was a great steward and and trans at the same time, and he had a great time, and his parents were really supportive, and it was all fine. I could tell you more about why that is, but don't worry about it. It's a trans tower. The Tower of Ecthelion is trans. Just so you all know. Um, but it's very important you don't mix this up with Ecthelion the Second. It's Ecthelion the First, who was a long time ago now. Ecthelion the Second is a bastard and homophobic, but Ecthelion the First was much better. Just so you all know. Ah, yes, exactly. Shadowfax mind controls him. It's actually the horse speaking. You know what? Actually, that does sound like it sounds more like because I think Shadowfax is a bastard. Like he is like literally a very he's very rude. So that makes sense. Then men fell back before the command of his voice and questioned him no further, though they gazed in wonder at the hobbit that sat before him and at the horse that bore him. For the people of the city used horses very little, and they were seldom seen in their streets save only those ridden by the errand riders of their lord. And they said, surely that is one of the great steeds of the king of Rohan. Maybe the Rohirrim will come soon to strengthen us. But Shadowfax walked proudly up the long winding road. See? See? You see no horses. Yes. Yes, honeybee, exactly. But I don't actually think people knew particularly that he was trans. There's a whole we've talked about it. We've crafted a narrative, me and Des, at one point. Don't worry about it. For the fashion of Minas Tirith was such that it was built on 7 levels, each delved into the hill, and about each was set a wall, and each wall was a gate. But the gates were not set in a line. The great gate in the city wall was at the east point of the circuit, but the next faced half south, and the third half north, and so to and fro upwards, so that the paved way that climbed towards the citadel turned first this way and then that across the face of the hill. And each time that it passed the line of the great gate, it went through an arched tunnel, piercing a vast pier of rock, whose huge outthrust bulk divided in two all the circles of the city save the first. For partly in the primeval shaping of the hill, partly by the mighty craft and labour of old, there stood up from the rear of the wide court behind the gate, a towering bastion of stone, its edge sharp as a ship keel facing east. Up it rose, even to the level of the topmost circle, and there was crowned by a battlement, so that those in the citadel might, like mariners in a mountainous ship, look from its peak sheer down upon the gate, 700 feet below. The entrance to the citadel also looked eastwards, but it was delved in the heart of the rock. Thence a long lamp-lit slope ran up to the seventh gate. Thus men reached at last the high court, and the place of the fountain before the feet of the white tower, tall and shapely, 50 fathoms from its base to the pinnacle, where the banner of the stewards floated 1,000 feet above the plain. Ooh! The banner of the stewards! You bastard, Tolkien! What does that look like? Huh? Tolkien? What does the banner of the stewards look like? You've given it to me, and now you won't tell me what it looks like. Because you hate me specifically. This whole book was written to test me, and me alone. That was the whole reason that you did this. You just won't tell. Oh, here's Burgil in the video. Meet Burgil in the video. There he is. Let me. No, Des, no! No! Stop it! Stop it! No! I mean, I suppose it's like the mantle. I guess. I guess. I don't want it to be, though. Listen, let him be attracted to this tower. Okay? Just let him. The man likes his tower. Where the hell did I get to? The banner of the stewards floating 1,000 feet above the plain. A strong citadel it was indeed, and not to be taken by a host of enemies if there were any within that could hold weapons, unless some foe could come behind, and scale the lower skirts of Mindoluin, and so come upon the narrow shoulder that joined the hill of Guard to the mountain pass. But that shoulder, which rose to the height of the fifth wall, was hedged with great ramparts, right up to the precipice that overhung its western end, and in that space stood the houses and domed tombs of bygone kings and lords, forever silent between the mountain and the tower. Pippin gazed in growing wonder at the. I actually really love. We'll briefly talk about this, and then we'll stop, because this is something that Raglos brought to my attention. Is that Tolkien was being racist once again. Because he was talking about the kings, and the fact that they were really, really obsessed with death, and that their big domed they cared more about the houses of the dead than the living. And I hate that. I think that's dumb, and I think he's wrong. What he said was he was being racist because what he said was like the Egyptians do, which is bad, apparently. Yes, thank you, Rex. But I hate that, and I think that's dumb. And what I really like is the fact that the all of the silent street is what is defending Gondor from attack from behind. That's the silent. Literally, all the kings are buried in essentially against the defense of the city, which has superb, beautiful metaphoric meaning that I could expound upon for a long time. I really like it, and I'm ignoring the part where I'm just going to ignore it. I'm going to ignore it. If Tolkien says something racist, I'm allowed to ignore it, and say that it was good, actually. Pippin gazed in growing wonder at the great stone city, vaster and more splendid than anything that he had dreamed of, greater and stronger than Isengard, and far more beautiful. You can't ask these questions, Death. You can't just ask these questions without warning. How could you do this? Could you do? I can't believe you've done this. I can't believe you've done this. I'm, I'm trying to. I you come to my stream and you come and you type. Do you think Fidulas is buried there too? And you type that in like, yeah, that's not gonna hurt me. I don't like. I mean, we have to now. I have to think about it. Where is Fidulas buried? Like, I guess you try. I don't believe you. I think you're lying. I think you're lying. What? But where is she buried? Because, like, Denethor would want to be buried with her. One imagines. Well, one imagines they must be buried in the silent streets. They had to have been, because you would imagine that if we're doing it like pharaohs, then they're buried together. Um, so so it would make more. It would make sense. God, it would make. Ah, Jesus, it would make sense for Vindula to be buried in the silent street. Jesus. I can't think about that too much. I can't think about it too much. I can't think about Boromir growing up in this city. I can't think about Boromir and his very intense relationship with the silent street. I can't think about this right now. Des, I can't think about this right now. We're barely even in the city. We're barely even in the city. Uh. You're killing me, like literally. You're literally killing me. I'm not reading the chat anymore for a second while we try and get like we haven't even we haven't even we haven't even gotten to Denethor yet. You real like that's what we're getting to. This whole thing, this whole chapter is getting to meet Denethor for the first time. Anyway, far more beautiful. Yet it was in truth falling year by year into decay, and already it lacked half the men that could have dwelt at ease there. In every street they passed some great house or court, over whose doors and arched gates were carved many fair letters of strange and ancient shapes, names Pippin guessed of great men and kindreds that had once dwelt there, and yet now they were silent, and no footstep rang on their wide pavements, nor voice was heard in their halls, nor any face looked out from door or empty window. Honorable mention for the beautiful linking that Des did for the names and scripts above doors. That's something that you see a lot in uh, Arabic architecture. And uh, yes, I know. I can't even bear it. Decay. Like you say decay, bro, you literally you built this city right next to its major enemy that it is unbeatable, and you look me in the eye and tell me this is decay, not murder and death. Murder and death. Like these people have been evacuated for a year. Of course, the city is no longer being kept up to the same standards. They were evacuated. Ah. So many people were evacuated that there are still some children left in the city. Just because that's where their parents are, I assume, and they didn't want to be part of them. Like, anyway. At last they came out of shadow to the seventh gate, and the warm sun that shone down beyond the river, as Frodo walked in the glades of Ithilien, glowed here on the smooth walls and rooted pillars, and the great arch, with keystone carven in the likeness of a crowned and kingly head. Gandalf dismounted, for no horse was allowed in the citadel, and Shadowfax suffered himself to be led away at the soft word of his master. The guards of the gate were robed in black, and their helms were of strange shape, high crowned, with long cheek guards whose close fitting to the face, and above the cheek guards were set the white wings of sea-birds. But the helms gleamed with a flame of silver, for they were indeed wrought of myth. What? Oh, okay. They were indeed wrought of mithril, heirlooms from the glory of old days. Upon the black surcoats were embroidered in white a tree blossoming like snow beneath a silver crown and many pointed stars. This was the livery of the heirs of Elendil, and none wore it now in all Gondor, save the guards of the citadel before the court of the fountain where the white tree once had grown. So they just have. I survived, yeah. I lived, bitch. I. so no, the point is not that the helms have wings. The point is that the helms are made of mithril, which I did not realize until now. So that means that there is a finite number of citadel guard. like you could only have a certain number of citadel guard at one time because they only have a certain number of helmets to give away. They only have a certain number of helmets, so they have to only allowed a certain number. And if you lose them, like Jesus, we had this discussion before? I do not recall. I do not recall that at all, and it is crazy. Where did they get them? Mithril? So like when they were trading with fucking that's crazy. Oh, you can't. You have to give them back if you die. If you die, you're not allowed to give them. Like the mithril helmets are not yours. You're not allowed to keep the mithril helmets. They are loaned to you until you die, and then they get taken back, or until you quit. I guess. There's a lot in this page. So a black circus embroidered a white tree blossoming like snow beneath a silver crown and many pointed stars. Okay, so yes, the white tree is can be anywhere. But the white tree with the crown above it is very particular. It's only for the livery of those who are guarding king shit. So literally the ones who are guarding the citadel. Yes. God, there's so much in this bit. That's interesting though. So the many pointed stars part is the part that's important, and nobody else but the Citadel guards can wear it, which is boring, but okay. We also had a mention of surcoat here, which is an addition. Yes, I like that too. I like the fact that he's trying to put us in time of where we are because it is important. We did need to know that. Already it seemed that word of their coming had gone before them, and at once they were admitted, silently and without question. Quickly Gandalf strode across the white paved court. A sweet fountain played there in the morning sun, and a sward of bright green lay about it. But in the midst, drooping over the pool, stood a dead tree, and the falling drops dripped sadly from its barren and broken branches back into the clear water. Pippin glanced at it as he hurried after Gandalf. It looked mournful, he thought, and he wondered why the dead tree was left in this place where everything else was well tended. 7 stars and 7 stones and 1 white tree. The words that Gandalf had murmured came back into his mind, and then he found himself at the doors of the great hall beneath the gleaming tower, and behind the wizard he passed the tall silent door wards and entered the cool echoing shadows of the House of Stone. Uh, Hang on one second. I need to. I've been drinking so much water because I'm so exercised. Ah, yes, bright green, bright green. But no, whatever, whatever. Alright. We're nearly there, and I'm just not ready for it, is the problem. I'm just not ready for trying to voice. Okay. Okay. Alright. They walked down a paved passage, long and empty, and as they went, Gandalf spoke softly to Pippin. Be careful of your words, Master Peregrine. This is no time for hobbit pertness. Theoden is a kindly old man. Denethor is of... Denethor? It's not Denethor. Denethor is of another sort, proud and subtle, a man of far greater lineage and power, though he is not called a king. But he will speak most to you, and question you much, since you can tell him of his son Boromir. He loved him greatly, too much, perhaps, and the more so because they were unalike. But under cover of this love, he will think it easier to learn what he wishes from you rather than from me. Do not tell him more than you need, and leave quiet the matter of Frodo's errand. I will deal with that in due time, and say nothing about Aragorn either, unless you must. Why not? What's wrong with Strider? Pippin whispered. He meant to come here, didn't he? And he'll be arriving soon himself anyway. Maybe, said Gandalf. Though if he comes, it is likely to be in some way that no one expects, not even Denethor. It will be better so, and at least he should come unheralded by us. Gandalf halted before a tall door of polished metal. See, Master Pippin, there is no time to instruct you now in the history of Gondor, though it might have been better if you had learned something of it when you were still birds nesting and playing truant in the woods of the Shire. Do as I bid. It is scarcely wise, when bringing the news of the death of his heir to a mighty lord, to speak overmuch of the coming of the one who will, if he comes, claim the kingship. Is that enough? Kingship? Said Pippin, amazed. Yes, said Gandalf. If you have walked all these days with closed ears and mind asleep, wake up now. He knocked on the door. And we have to stop. We have to stop again because, oh my god. Oh my god, there is so much here. So, firstly, we just got Gandalf totally admitting here that he finds Theoden more easy to manipulate than Denethor. That's part number one is like the way that Gandalf just thoroughly just the way Gandalf thoroughly just comes along and is like, Theoden's, kind, I guess, but he's not like Denethor, who's much more troublesome. I can't control him easier. And then we have to go through the part where Gandalf is basically priming Pippin to think things that are not true. Like because he knows what will happen, but he's trying to cover his own arse, because what he means here is, I'm not gonna tell him everything. I'm not gonna tell him everything, but you might. So you need to not tell him everything as well, even though it's his city that is being attacked. But the reason he's doing that is because he's evil or something. And if he's talking to you about Boromir, then he's doing it for an evil reason. So he's priming Pippin to believe ill of Denethor already. He's priming him to do this and to cover himself because of the fact that consistently he has betrayed and or just not justified Denethor's trust, which, like, Denethor would be like this is Gandalf's fault. It's Gandalf's fault that Denethor won't talk to him. It's Gandalf's fault. He would have talked to him otherwise if he'd been a good man. But no, Gandalf can't tell people anything. He has to control the information at all times. Yes, exactly, Des, exactly. Denethor, well, we'll get to that, but Denethor's actual like genuine appreciation of Pippin is so genuine. It's like so honest. Denethor never conceals anything. We're gonna get there. Okay, also we have to get to the part. We have to unpack. I mean, well, let's throw out the whole suitcase, but let's unpack loving your son too much. Let's unpack loving your children too much. Gandalf, what did you mean? What? Why? What are you talking about? Loving your children too much? Oh, it's just terrible. It's just terrible how much Denethor was loved his son. Isn't that? It's just awful. I can't believe how awful it is that Denethor loved his son more than I think he should have. Said Gandalf about the dead son that Denethor is actively grieving right now. Like he learned about it like 3 days ago. We can't even start to like. How do I start to unpack loving your child too much? I just want to sit Gandalf down and say, what do you mean, Gandalf? Like describe it to me. Like analyze, like unpack this that you've just the thing you've just said. Unpack it for me, please. How can you love a son too much, and why, and what? Actually, you know what? I'm literally like thinking about this, and it's gelling with some other stuff that me and Des have been talking about Faramir, and maybe finding out some shit. And now I'm more angry. I'm very I'm being I'm come on then, Remy, up you get. Um um oh my god. I hate him so much. I hate him so much. Like literally Gandalf is coming here. And he's looking Pippin dead in the face and saying, "Listen, Denethor's a bad person because he wants to know things about the war that he's fighting, and because he loved his son, and he doesn't trust me because I've actively made him not trust me. And that's why Denethor is a bad person, and you need to not trust him either." Pippin. And then Pippin doesn't even take that bait. Pippin literally like skirts over it completely. Like he completely. Okay, let's. What else? Uh, oh yes, here of course, Gandalf is saying that he loved Boromir because he wasn't like him. Um, and and realistically speaking, what that means is, Boromir was dumb. Gandalf is just calling Boromir dumb again. I actually also I don't think I think Denethor and Boromir had different personalities certainly, but it is crazy that that Gandalf, who has met these people, like I need you to understand, he's met Boromir like he can't have met Boromir more than 3 times in his life, maybe 4 actually. Sorry, he met Boromir 4 times, but he knows everything about this family. Apparently, he knows it all. He knows the whole shebang, and has been manipulating them through these 4 meetings. He's only met Faramir 3 times, and yet he's mad at. Under cover of his love, he will think it easier to learn what he wishes from you rather than from me. Let's, like, you can see it, right? Like, you can translate that, right? He's saying he'll say that he's sad and will want to know more about Boromir's death than I want to tell him. Like literally, he's literally saying I'm not going to tell him everything about how Boromir died, his son, who he loved. Leave quiet the matter of Frodo's errand. Um, I mean, there's some we can discuss the whole thing of maybe it's better if it's secret, blah 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 blah. But so many people know now, like so many people know now. It seems crazy to keep Denethor in the dark. And of course, we need to understand that at this point, Gandalf is operating under the assumption that Denethor has been tempted to use the Palantir. And he's very. I'm sorry, we didn't discuss this before we started. The reason Gandalf has rushed off in this big kerfuffle is because after seeing Pippin use the Palantir, he's like, oh no, what if Denethor is pushed to a brink and he uses the Palantir too, and he's worried about him, which is very strange. But Gandalf is worried about Denethor. He's like, oh no, what if he uses the Palantir? And uh 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 and then he rushed off And so at this point he's trying to dig into whether or not Denethor has used the Palantir once in this hour of great need. But again, what he doesn't know is Denethor's been fucking using the Palantir since he fucking became the steward. He's been using it for 34 years. Like he's this is and so Gandalf is running under these assumptions that are just so false. Rakor says, assumed he came to Manchester through times or so, but stayed for some time, and that's when. Well, no, but Faramir basically says that Gandalf doesn't stay long. He does say that. I'm pretty sure Faramir says that Gandalf does not stay long. Like he arrives and then he has something to do, but he doesn't stay that long, and then he leaves. So he came to Minas 3 or so times during Faramir's life, and I think he must have come a fourth time, or Faramir's memory. Maybe he came when Faramir was a baby. But still, I don't. I'm pretty sure I'll have to go back and read it. Maybe he said something different, but I'm pretty sure what he said was he doesn't stay for long. So, anyway, we still haven't unpacked the rest of this. And then he says, and then Gandalf says, and say nothing about Aragorn either unless you must. Uh, so you have this like you have how is this justifiable? Like Gandalf is just arriving and he's like don't tell him shit about anything that's actually relevant to him. And yeah, exactly. He teaches seldom. Well, no, the reason Farah isn't saying he teaches seldom, as in he means teach, as in literally teach. So Faramir is aware that Gandalf does teach sometimes, and I think he means teach like literally he's being taught like a teacher. I don't think he means Gandalf withholding information, like just basic information than that. Exactly, honeybee. That's exactly what he did. What he literally did was he came to Minas Tirith, came to Boromir, and was like, "Be interested in elves and be manipulated by me." And Denethor and Boromir was like, "Your vibes, like 7-year-old Boromir was like, your vibes are rancid, sir. Your vibes are rancid, sir. I can't stand them. Please leave me alone." And Gandalf was like, "Well, I guess that one doesn't work. I'll take the air then." Okay. Eventually, we'll get to the end of unpacking all of this. Uh, I'm not even going to start with he will come unheralded by us. Um, I also not about Denethor, but the way Gandalf is like actually Pippin. When you were learning like a hobbit, like a baby hobbit in the Shire, you should have learned about Gondor's history. Maybe you should have learned about Gondor's history instead of playing truant and bird nesting as if we don't know that Pippin is he's the most respectable hobbit we have in this party, bar perhaps Merry. Like he's literally we know for a fact that Pippin is well respected and was a good child. He wasn't he wasn't like some kind of bad hobbit baby. He was a good child. He was very Farmer Maggot very fond of him. Frodo is the criminal. It was Frodo who was the criminal in this party, not Pippin. Pippin is very respectable. So I don't fucking know what Gandalf and is talking about, saying that Pippin, instead of being doing all the illegal things which he didn't do when he was a child in Hobbiton, should have learned about Gondor, a country that is so distant from him he barely even knew it existed. But if only he hadn't been learning about the things in his own country, he should have been learning about all the complex history of Gondor instead. Which is a take that Gandalf has given, and is dumb as all hell. But and I love the way Pippin is just like a kingship. What? Who's a king? I haven't been paying attention, and he's right to have not been paying it. Like nobody said this in his field of view anyway. So Yes, exactly. Okay, now the door opened. Let's see, how many pages have we gotten through? Uh, oh my god, we got babes. We've gotten through 5 whole pages. I've been talking for an hour and a half. It's been 5 pages and we've been talking for an hour and a half. Oh, I warned you all. I knew this would happen. The door opened, but no one could be seen to open it. Oh, really? Oh, mechanical doors. Maybe, probably not, but I could say it's mechanical. I could say the door's mechanical. I can if nobody could be seen to open it. Pippin looked into a great hall. It was lit by deep windows in the wide aisles on either side, beyond the rows of tall pillars that upheld the roof. Monoliths of black marble, they rose to great capitals carved in many strange figures of beasts and leaves, and far above, in shadow, the wide vaulting gleamed with dull gold, inset with flowing traceries of many colours. No hangings, nor storied webs, nor any things of woven stuff or of wood were there to be seen in that long solemn hall, but between the pillars there stood a silent company of tall images graven in cold stone. um, I have a lot I want to say about all of that. Um, but basically all it amounts to is fuck Peter Jackson, so we'll move on. Suddenly, Pippin was reminded of the hewn rocks of Argonath, and awe fell on him as he looked down upon that avenue of kings long dead. At the far end, upon a dais of many steps, was set a high throne under a canopy of marble shaped like a crowned helm. Behind it was carved upon the wall and set with gems an image of a tree in flower, but the throne was empty. At the foot of the dais, upon the lowest step, which was broad and deep, there was a stone chair, black and unadorned, and on it sat an old man gazing at his lap. In his hand was a white rod with a golden knob. He did not look. Many colours, PJ. We're actually about to see Lord of the Rings Online's version of the hall, and it's like it's legitimately like perfect. I couldn't have asked for more. I mean, there are some things I could question about it, but mainly, mostly, pure and perfect. They made the statues look so fucking boring too. Like they were just like looking like Aragorn, which they definitely did. You're right. They also just were like the most. They were like tiny as well. They were this tiny little hall. It was so small, and uh, I need a moment. I need a moment. We're about to get to Denver, and I need to calm down. I need to calm down. Oh my god. He's sitting solemn with his eyes. Ugh. And the thing is, okay, so Denethor knows. Oh God, Denethor knows that this is something that's happening. Like he's aware that this is that Gandalf is coming, which is exhausting for him, but also a hobbit, and and he knows that he's about to receive information, more detailed information about how his son died. And so he's been sitting and he's sitting and waiting for them, and like and he's sitting and waiting for them to come and tell him how his son died, and that's why he's sitting there like that, I like he's waiting for them, and he's literally he's centering himself because he's going to have to go through this whole thing and try and be as emotionless as possible, which is impossible. But he has to try and keep a lid on it because Gandalf is going to try. He knows that Gandalf is going to try and do everything he can to undermine his position and make it an issue for him. He's going to try his very best to do this. So he has to get a hold of himself, whilst knowing that he's about to know, like he already knows Boromir's dead, but he's gotta hear it now, and he's gotta hear it from Gandalf, and that's possibly like the most horrific part. I'm fine, like I'm all right. Um, here he is on the video, the man himself, the bastard himself, the bitch wizard himself. There he is. I like him in Lord of the Rings Online. He's got this like he's got more bushy eyebrows than, and I appreciated it. God. Okay. All right. I'm fine. I promise. I'm fine. He did not look up. Solemnly they paced the long floor towards him until they stood 3 paces from his footstool. Then Gandalf spoke. I'm so hello, Peaches. Welcome in. You've come to the you've arrived at the very moment when I have to voice Denethor, and I can't yeah but I'm glad you slept. I hope you slept well. I'm glad the mic sounds good. Okay. Then Gandalf spoke. Hail, Lord and Steward of Minas Tirith, Denethor, son of Ecthelion. I am come with counsel and tidings in this dark hour. Then the old man looked up. Pippin saw his carven face, with its proud bones and skin like ivory, and the long curved nose between the dark, deep eyes, and he was reminded not so much of Boromir as of Aragorn. Oh, Jesus. um, Dark indeed is the hour, said the old man, and at such times you are wont to come, Mithrandir. But though all the signs forebode that the doom of Gondor is drawing nigh, less now to me is that darkness than my own darkness. It has been told to me that you bring with you one who saw my son die. Is this he? It is, said Gandalf, one of the twain. The other is with Theoden of Rohan, and may come hereafter. Halflings they are, as you see, yet this is not he of whom the omens spoke. Yet a halfling still, said Denethor grimly, and little love do I bear the name, since those accursed words came to trouble our counsels, and drew away my son on the wild errand to his death. Oh, my Boromir, now we have need of you. Faramir should have gone in his stead. He would have gone, said Gandalf. Be not unjust in your grief. Boromir claimed the errand, and would not suffer any other to have it. He was a masterful man, and one to take what he desired. I journeyed far with him, and learned much of his mood. But you speak of his death. You have had news of that ere we came. No, I actually have to get. I have to get to anyway. No, actually, I can't. Denethor did not say that it was Faramir's. He didn't say that. Gandalf. He said Faramir should have gone. Cause he's talking about himself. Fucker. Like, you know this, you have to know this. He's talking about, like, he should have sent Faramir, not, he's talking about himself. It's his guilt. Oh, the thing is, the streamers. Never mind. I can't. And yet, Gandalf he has to fucking push. Stir not the bitter dregs of this cup that I have already stirred for myself. Anyway. I have received this, said Denethor, and laying down his rod, he lifted from his lap the thing that he had been gazing at. In each hand he held up one half of a great horn cloven through the middle, a wild ox horn bound with silver. Oh, that is the horn that Boromir always wore, cried Pippin. Verily, said Denethor, and in my time I bore it, and so did each eldest son of our house, far back in
banished years before the failings of the kings, since Vorondil, father of Mardil, hunted the wild kine of Auror in the far fields of Rune. I heard it blowing dim upon the northern marches 13 days ago, and the river brought it to me broken. It will wind no more. He paused, and there was a heavy silence. Suddenly he turned his black glance upon Pippin. What say you to that, halfling? 13 days, faltered Pippin. Yes, I think that would be so. Yes, I stood beside him as he blew the horn, but no help came, only more orcs. So, said Denethor, looking keenly at Pippin's face, you were there. Tell me more. Why did no help come? And how did you escape, and yet he did not, so mighty a man as he was, and only orcs to withstand him? Pippin flushed and forgot his fear. The mightiest man may be slain by one arrow, he said, and Boromir was pierced by many. When last I saw him, he sank beside a tree and plucked a black feathered shaft from his side. And then I swooned and was made captive. I saw him no more, and know no more. But I honour his memory, for he was very valiant. He died to save us, my kinsman Meriadoc and myself, waylaid in the woods by the soldiery of the Dark Lord, and though he fell and failed, my gratitude is none the less. Then Pippin looked the old man in the eye. Pride stirred strangely within him, still stung by the scorn and suspicion in that cold voice. Little service, no doubt, will so great a lord of men think to find in a hobbit, a halfling from the northern shire, yet such as it is, I will offer it in payment of my debt. Twitching aside his grey cloak, Pippin drew forth his small sword and laid it at Denethor's feet. Oof. A pale smile, like a gleam of cold sun on a winter's evening, passed over the old man's face. But he bent his head and held out his hand, laying the shards of the horn aside. Give me the weapon, he said, and Pippin lifted it and presented the hilt to him. Whence came this? Said Denethor. Many years lie on it. Surely this is a blade wrought by our own kindred in the north, in the deep past. It came out of the mounds that lie on the borders of my country, said Pippin, but only evil wights dwell there now, and I will not willingly tell more of them. I see that strange tales are woven about you, said Denethor, and once again it is shown that looks may belie the man, or the halfling. I accept your service, for you are not daunted by words, and you have courteous speech, strange though the sound of it may be to us in the south. And we shall have need of all folk of courtesy, be they great or small, in the days to come. Swear to me now. Take the... I can't say anything about what Seven Stars, Seven Stones just said, but never mind. Take the hilts, said Gandalf, and speak after the Lord, if you are resolved in this. I am, said Pippin. The old man laid the sword along his lap, and Pippin put his hand to the hilts, and said slowly after Denethor, Here do I swear fealty and service to Gondor, and to the Lord and Steward of the realm, to speak and to be silent, to do and to let be, to come and to go, in need or plenty, in peace or war, in living or dying, from this hour henceforth until my Lord release me, or death take me, or the world end. So say I, Peregrine, son of Paladin, of the Shire of the Halflings. And this do I hear, Denethor, son of Ecthelion, Lord of Gondor, Steward of the High King, and I will not forget it, nor fail to reward that which is given, fealty with love, valour with honour, oath-breaking with vengeance. Then Pippin received back his sword, and put it in its sheath. And now, said Denethor, my first command to you, speak, and do not be silent. Tell me your full tale, and see that you recall all that you can of Boromir, my son. Sit now, and begin. As he spoke, he struck a small silver gong that stood near his footstool, and at once servants came forward. Pippin saw then that they had been standing in alcoves on either side of the door, unseen as he and Gandalf entered. I also literally can't. I love Pip. Actually, we have to stop. We have to pause. So much happened, and I'm bubbling. So 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 Deneth is suspicious because of course he is. He's suspicious of how Boromir died. Of how Boromir died and how Pippin lived. He's suspicious. Of course he is, because Gandalf is the one who's brought this person to him. And then he hears what Pippin says, and is like, "Oh wait, no, this person is great. I totally trust him. I totally trust this small man who I immediately acknowledge has obviously some great valor to him. Like Dennis is like right there, like immediately, like he's like it doesn't. It takes him one conversation to believe in Pippin, to trust his word, and to think that he's great. Uh, damn it, you're right, Glass. That must be the case. So he and this is not like the way it's portrayed. We have to talk about the film. I'm sorry, the way it's portrayed in the film of this like this slimy energy that he gives to this whole situation. The way Pippin looks like he's forced into doing it, like he feels like he's being pushed into it. No, Pippin wanted to do this against Gandalf's word. Like like he literally he can't even he I have to deal with people thinking that Pippin was forced into this service, and the problem is that in the film it's a completely like they have to put it in there because otherwise it would be too non-canon. But it makes no sense in the film for Pippin to do this. He already he's he's not like Pippin likes Denethor already. He looks at him and he's like, yes, this is a I can't. It makes no sense in the film for Pippin to do this because the whole point is that it's well made and gently meant and kind, and it's the beginning step in a genuine appreciation of each other that is so tender. And yes, Des is saying very. We have to touch on the fact that Denethor specifically calls himself steward of the High King, just to push Gandalf's buttons, just to be like, if there's a High King around. Yes, Silvergong, my beloved. Also, I also am very fond of this little Silvergong. What else was there? So much happened. So much happens. The way Denethor knows that the sword is of the ancient kindred of the North, the way that he knows that it's not, he doesn't just know that like he's not just like looking at it like, oh, this is an old sword. He's like, no, this was made by Arnorian smiths, right? The love I feel, and the way Gandalf is so spitty, the way Gandalf is like, if you are resolved on this, like he really did not want this to happen, and I love that he didn't want it to happen, and that it happens so kindly and gently, and that Gandalf is just being completely like blindsided at this point. Like this is perfect. It's for me. I love it. And he just wants to know, like you can love your son and want to know how he died, and also want to protect your country at the same time, Gandalf. Ugh. The way Peregrine is also the way Pippin is made to say it in the film, like he's made to say the oath in this like trembling way, when clearly in the book he is grasping onto some kind of proud, positive valor in himself. Like it detracts so much from Pippin as well. Like this is his point where he's like forging something. Like he's trying to express something powerful. Pippin saw then that they had been standing in alcoves on either side of the door, and seen as he and Gandalf entered. Also, unnamed servants, my beloved. Unnamed servants, my beloved, who are trusted enough to hear these very deep counsels. They can't just be servants. Unnamed servants, my beloved. I would make so many OCs out of just these two. Very important. I love them very much. They're not even gendered, so I bring wine and food and seats for the guests, said Denethor, and see that none trouble us for 1 hour. It is all that I have to spare, for there is much else to heed, he said to Gandalf. Much of more import it may seem, and yet to me less pressing. But maybe we can speak again at the end of the day. And earlier it is to be hoped, said Gandalf, for I have not ridden hither from Isengard 150 leagues with the speed of wind, only to bring you one small warrior, however courteous. Is it naught to you that Theoden has fought a great battle, and that Isengard is overthrown, and that I have broken the staff of Saruman? It is much to me, but I know already sufficient of these deeds for my own counsel against the menace of the East. He turned his dark eyes on Gandalf, and now Pippin. Oh, now hang on a moment. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. Denethor has dark eyes, so we get the only character actually in the book who does have dark eyes is Denethor, which I love. Denethor's dark eyes, my beloved. Tolkien means it in a bad way, but it's good for me. He has deep brown eyes. Ugh. Delight. The delight I have. And the way Gandalf is so fucking irritated. I love it here. And the way Gandalf, is it nothing to you that I've done all these amazing things? And then Denethor's like, yeah, sure, it was pretty good when I learned about it 3 to 5 weeks ago. I already know. Already dealt with. And I don't even care. And you're ugly, so leave me alone. He did. He said, fuck you, I already know. Leave me alone. The crime of taking hobbits too seriously, truly unwinnable. But anyway. Yes, yes. It's much to me, but I know. Yes, now Pippin saw he turned his dark eyes on Gandalf. And now Pippin saw a likeness between the two, and he felt the strain between them, almost as if he saw a line of smouldering fire drawn from eye to eye, that might suddenly burst into flame. They just hate each other so much. It's so funny. Yeah, this is a great moment. Actually, now I think about it, like Gandalf's like, doesn't it mean anything to you that I've done all of these amazing, incredible things, and all of this stuff has happened? And Denethor's like, yeah, sure, it was much to me when I learned it 3 days ago. And then he locks eyes with Gandalf, and they like they're silent. It's so funny. It's so fucking funny the way this. I mean, it's also grueling and miserable because like he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to do this, Gandalf. His son is dead. He doesn't want to do this with you right now. But also, it's fucking hilarious. Like Gandalf rides through the night just to live this council that Denethor already fucking knows about. Denethor looked indeed much more like a great wizard than Gandalf did, more kingly, beautiful, and powerful, and older. Yet by a sense other than sight, Pippin perceived that Gandalf had the greater power, and the deeper wisdom, and a majesty that was veiled, and he was older, far older. How much older, he wondered, and then he thought how odd it was that he had never thought about it before. Treebeard had said something about wizards, but even then he had not thought of Gandalf as one of them. He's a bad fucking wizard. What was Gandalf? Wait, Pippin, wait, what is Gandalf actually? Hang on, I'm just having this like Denethor and Gandalf are having like this intense moment, but Pippin's just sitting there like, what is Gandalf actually? What is he? I haven't thought about this before. I love him so much. I love him to the end of back. It's not an important question, baby. You don't have to worry about it. Oh, in what far time and place did he come into the world, and when would he leave it? And then his musings broke off, and he saw that Denethor and Gandalf still looked each other in the eye, as if reading the other's mind. But it was Denethor who first withdrew his gaze. Yea, he said, for though the stones be lost, they say, still the lords of Gondor have keener sight than lesser men, and many messages come to them. But sit now. Okay, that's funny. I'm trying to figure this out. It seems to me that people must have like everybody like even Gandalf knows. Why did Denethor say that? No, wait, he's being a little shit. Actually, he's being a little shit. He's actually just like, well, people say that they lost all the stones, so I have no idea how I know it, but never mind. Oh, you know what he's saying? You know what Denethor is fucking You know what Denethor's fucking saying? He's saying he's saying very, very coyly. He's saying, oh, I wonder. I mean, who knows who has a stone? Maybe I have a stone, maybe somebody else has a stone, and they were lost long way away. I wonder if anyone else had found a stone recently, say, and might have had then, therefore, a way to tell me all of this information that didn't require you to ride through 3 nights all of a fluster and then come to my city all miserable like. It's almost as if there was a way for you to contact me that you had, that I know about, by the way, that you could have done. You could have done that, but you didn't, and here we are. So let's listen to The Hobbit instead, shall we? I already know, so don't worry about it. Uh, okay. Then men came bearing a chair and a low stool, and one brought a slaver with a slaver. What the hell does that mean? A salver, a salver with a. I don't know why I said that as slaver, but anyway, a salver with a silver flagon and cups and white cakes. Pippin sat down, but he could not take his eyes from the old lord. Was it so, or had he only imagined it, that as he spoke of the stones, a sudden gleam of his eye had glanced upon Pippin's face? Okay, also, it means that Denethor knew that Pippin. Oh my god, Denethor knew that Pippin. Yes, of course. So I'm confirmed. He literally Denethor saw Pippin in the thing, and he knows all about it, and he's telling Gandalf he knows all about it, but in the coyest way possible, and it's that's exactly Death. That's so perfect. You're right. You're so right. Aragorn's like, what should I do with the seeing stone? Isn't there must be somebody to contact? Maybe I could contact. I know. Let's contact Sauron. Sure, that's a good idea. It was not necessary. You all realize, oh no, the streams, the chat's gone again. That's terrible. Come back, chat. Oi, come back. Come back. Come back to me. Refresh cache of current page. No, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Okay. Let me just see if that will. No. Oh no, it go. Okay, it just refreshes every now and then. We won't actually lose anybody from the chat. I can't even start talking about white cakes right now, Ragloss. We've got to get through this before. I've been reading for 2 hours 22 minutes. I have to pass by the white cakes, no matter how much I want. No matter how much I want to talk about the white cakes, I have to pass by. I love them very, very tenderly, and I will think about this afterwards. But yes, was it so, or had he only imagined it, that he spoke of the stones as he spoke of the stones, a sudden gleam of his eye had glanced upon Pippin's face? Oh God, I'm. Also, Boromir gets his sense of humor from his dad. Like, they literally speak the same. Ugh. Okay, 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 okay. Baked in. Des, you can't stop this with me. You can't stop this with me right now. You know you can't do this to me right now. I'm just about to say something incredibly painful. You know it. Anyway, glance upon Pippin's face. Now, tell me your tale, my liege, said Denethor, half kindly, half mockingly, for the words of one whom my son so befriended will be welcome indeed.
He already, he already, he already like it's like he literally like looks at Pippin and is like, oh, a bit, a tip, half kindly. He's like, I will, I will. Des, say your thought in the chat, please. I'm gonna keep reading, but say the thought. Pippin never forgot that hour in the great under the piercing eyes of the Lord of Gondor, stabbed ever and anon by his shrewd questions, and all the while conscious of Gandalf at his side, watching and listening, and, so Pippin felt, holding in check a rising wrath and impatience. When the hour was over, and Denethor again rang the gong, Pippin felt worn out. It cannot be more than 9 o'clock, he thought. I could now eat 3 breakfasts on end. Lead the Lord Mithrandir to the housing prepared for him, said Denethor, and his companion may lodge with him for the present, if he will. But be it known that I have now sworn him to my service, and he shall be known as Peregrine, son of Paladin, and taught the lesser passwords. Send words to the captains that they shall wait on me here, as soon as may be after the 3rd hour has rung. And you, my lord Mithrandir, shall come too, as and when you will. None shall hinder your coming to me at any time, save only in my brief hours of sleep. Let your wrath at an old man's folly run off, and then return to my comfort. Sorry, I just realized what Denethor just said. He like he's saying, listen, I know you're angry with me. I know you're mad at me. I know, I get that. But let me have a nap first. Let me have a nap first and I'll deal with you later. Listen, I get it. You're angry at me. I understand. I need to sleep first. And then you can come back and be angry with me afterwards. I'll deal with whatever you've got going on afterwards. But now I need to actually sleep. I need to sleep. I love him so much. I love him so much. I love him more than words can express. His family. I have to read it again. And you, my lord Mithrandir, shall come too, as and when you will. None shall hinder your coming to me at any time, save only in my brief hours of sleep. Let your wrath at an old man's folly run off, and then return to my comfort. Folly, said Gandalf. Nay, my lord, when you are a dotard, you will die. Gandalf just fucking says it, it's so funny. You can use even your grief as a cloak. Do you think that I do not understand your purpose in questioning for an hour one who knows the least while I sit by? If you understand it, then be content, returned Denethor. Pride would be folly that disdained help and counsel at need. But you deal out such gifts according to your own designs. Yet the Lord of Gondor is not to be made the tool of other men's purposes, however worthy. And to him there is no purpose higher in the world, as it now stands, than the good of Gondor, and the rule of Gondor, my lord, is mine, and no other man's, unless the king should come again. Unless the king should come again, said Gandalf. Well, my lord steward, it is your task to keep some kingdom still against that event, which few now look to see. In that task you shall have all the aid that you are pleased to ask for, but I will say this. The rule of no realm is mine, neither of Gondor nor any other, great or small, but all things that are in peril as the world now stands, those are my care. And for my part, I shall not wholly fail of my task, though Gondor should perish, if anything passes through this night that can still grow fair or bear fruit and flower again in days to come. For I am also a steward,
Did you not know? And with that, he turned and strode from the hall with Pippin running at his side. I just.
The pettiness of it. Like, he's literally like, I'm steward of all the world, actually. And he literally says it. Like, again, I can't express to you enough what. Let me break this conversation down for you. It was very complicated. Sorry, Gandalf said, "Why did you question Pippin when you know I know more than he does?" And Denethor says, "You know why? Because you weren't going to tell me, and you do things that for your own will, and you don't really care about what happens to Gondor, and so I don't really trust you." And Gandalf's like, "Well, of course, I care about everything, to my own will, and I don't listen to counsel, and I would totally have Gondor be destroyed if it meant my own purposes could be fulfilled." And then he just fucking walks off in a huff like that's a really good comeback. Like, that's a fucking great comeback. And then Denethor, I imagine, mutters after him like, yeah, that's what I just said. That's what I just said. Bye. At least I can sleep now. Exactly. Will he actually have all the aid he asks for? In fact, Gandalf, actually. Will he? Are you sure? Are you not actually going to only give him what he can't, only pretend to give him what he asks for? And also, yes, Honeybee, you're exactly right. He actually doesn't know anything about Boromir's death, which he confirms later when he says bullshit like Boromir would have come home if he'd survived, would have come home and been like changed or whatever. When that's not even true, he literally resists the ring, and uh, uh, I need more water. And I just like Gandalf is so angry. Like, he's so irritated. It's so funny. He's like a little puffy chicken. He's like a little puffed up, broody chicken who's just shuffled out of her nest and is all puffed up and is squawking at every single thing that happens to her, no matter what it is. And it's so funny. It's so fucking funny the way he is with Denethor because he just can't control him, and he hates that. He just hates it so much. I have a what's the word? An allegory, I suppose, of how Gandalf perceives other people, and but I can't get into it now. But it is about chickens. I what? No, but Reklos, he means it that way though. What he means, no, but he like you don't even have to read between the lines to hear that he is that he still would be happy for that he not happy. He would allow that to happen if his like that's what he's saying. If his purposes are good. Because again, he talks about all the people. Well, Gandalf, you don't actually care about all the people because you still let all the Haradrim die, and you still let all the Eastlings fucking die, all the Corsairs, all the Dunlendings. You don't actually care about all people. I'm going to put up. I'm going to go to the loo, and I'll be back. Ugh.
also have to take off my jumper because even though it's quite cold, even though it's quite cold, I do need. I've gotten way too heated. Uh, uh, yes, exactly. I'm not even gonna. I don't read letters. I don't read the letters. I don't care about the letters. Because yes. Okay. Okay. And with that, he turned and strode from the hall with Pippin running at his side. Gandalf did not look at Pippin or speak a word to him as they went. Their guide brought them from the doors of the hall, and then led them across the court of the fountain into a lane between tall buildings of stone. After several turns, they came to a house close to the wall of the citadel, upon the north side, not far from the shoulder that linked the hill from the mountain. Within, upon the first floor above the street, up a wide carven stair, he showed them to a fair room, light and airy, with goodly things of dull gold sheen unfigured. With goodly hangings of dull gold sheen unfigured. It was sparely furnished, having but a small table, 2 chairs, and a bench, but at either side there were curtained alcoves and well-clad beds, within with vessels and basins for washing. There are three high narrow windows that looked northward over the great curve of Anduin, still shrouded in mists towards the Emyn and Rauros far away. Pippin had to climb on the bench to look out over the deep stone sill. Just briefly, we're going to stop. Just briefly, I must make mention of the fact that they had bowls of water. Um, so this encourages my concept that there must be running water in Minas Tirith. I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat. Yes, exactly. I can't say it better than Dessa. I cannot say it better than them, but I'm just gonna keep reading. But the water, there must be running water because there is no way that somebody went from the Anduin and then dragged water all the way up to the citadel. There must be running water somewhere. Are you angry with me, Gandalf? He said, as their guide went out and closed the door. I did the best I could. You did indeed, said Gandalf, laughing suddenly, and he came and stood beside Pippin, putting his arm about the hobbit's shoulders and gazing out of the window. Pippin glanced in some wonder at the face now close behind his own, for the sound of that laugh had been gay and merry, yet in the wizard's face he saw at first only lines of care and sorrow, though as he looked more intently he perceived that under all there was a great joy, a fountain of mirth enough to set a kingdom laughing, were it to gush forth. Indeed, you did your best, said the wizard, and I hope that it may be long before you find yourself in such a tight corner again between two such terrible old men. Still, the Lord of Gondor learned more from you than you may have guessed, Pippin. You did not hide the fact that Boromir did not lead the company from Moria, and that there was one among you of high honour, who was coming to Minas Tirith, and that he had a famous sword. Men think much about the stories of old days in Gondor, and Denethor has given long thought to the rhyme and to the words Isildur's bane since Boromir went away. He is not as other men of his. Oh, sorry. He is not as other men of his time, Pippin, and whatever be his descent from father to son, by some chance the blood of Westernesse runs nearly true in him, as it does in his other son Faramir, and yet did not in Boromir, who he loved best. He has long sight, he can perceive, if he bends his will thither, much of what is passing in the minds of men, even of those that dwell far off. It is difficult to deceive him, and dangerous to try. Remember that, for you are now sworn to his service. I do not know what put it into your head or your heart to do that, but it was well done. You did not hinder it. I'm sorry, I did not hinder it, for generous deed should not be checked by cold counsel. It touched his heart, as well, may I say it, as pleasing his humour, and at least you are free now to move about as you will in Minas Tirith, when you are not on duty, for there is another side to it. You are at his command, and he will not forget. Be wary still. He fell silent and sighed. Well, there is no need to brood on what tomorrow may bring. For one thing, tomorrow will be certain to bring more worse than today, for many days to come, and there is nothing more that I can do to help it. The board is set, and the pieces are moving. One piece that I greatly desire to find is Faramir, now the heir of Denethor. I do not think that he is in the city, but I have had no time to gather news. I must go, Pippin. I must go to this Lord's council and learn what I can. But the enemy has the move, and he is about to open his full game, and pawns are likely to see as much of it as any. Perrin, son of Paladin, soldier of Gondor, sharpen your blade. Gandalf went to the door, and there he turned. I am in haste, Pippin, he said. Do me a favour when you go out, even before you rest if you are not too weary. Go and find Shadowfax, and see how he is housed. These people are kindly to beasts, for they are a good and wise folk, but they have less skill with horses than some. Ugh. Yes, no, I mean, again, like, this is the issue. Like, Gandalf in the film is nicer, but Gandalf in the book is funnier. And I do tend to prefer the funny Gandalf, even if he's evil. He's not evil, even if well, he is. Even if he tests me many times. But I find him very funny, and I mean, admittedly, the thing is that like Gandalf has been he was schooling himself, like he was very frustrated with he was actually very frustrated with Pippin doing this, but as he was walking, he was schooling himself and thinking about it and deciding that actually this is probably good for him and for everybody else. He did literally also call Faramir a chess piece. You're right, because again, it is the he doesn't he doesn't care like people care about these things. He simply doesn't. And he did literally call Faramir a chess piece. Um, right. With that, Gandalf went out, and as he did so, there came the note of a clear, sweet bell ringing in a tower of the citadel. 3 strokes it rang, like silver in the air, and ceased. The third hour from the rising of the sun. After a minute, Pippin went to the door and down the stair, and looked out about the street. The sun was now shining warm and bright, and the towers and tall houses cast long, clear-cut shadows westward. High in the blue air, Mount Mindluin lifted its white helm and snowy cloak. Armed men went to and fro in the ways of the city, as if going at the striking of the hour to changes of posts and duty. 9 o'clock, we call it in the Shire, said Pippin aloud to himself. Just the time for a nice breakfast by the open window in spring sunshine. And how I should like breakfast! Do these people ever have it, or is it over? And when do they have dinner, and where? Presently he noticed a man, clad in black and white, coming along the narrow street from the centre of the citadel towards him. Pippin felt lonely, and made up his mind to speak as the man passed, but he had no need. The man came straight to him. Oh, and here we are! Here we are, my love! More, yes, more evidence that Gondor has no horses, but more beauty. But we are now, oh, we're in, here he is. Here he is. Here he is. I actually am already cold, so I need to put my jumper back on. Yes, Middle-earth has chess and umbrellas and coffee and tomatoes and potatoes and golf. Ugh. It's simply it's a mess. It's a mess in there. Right, okay. I love the way, like, also, like if, like, they had to take Berrigan out of the film partly for time, but also, again, it would have been very strange for Denethor Evilman to have sent somebody, literally a citadel of a guard citadel, to make sure that Pippin was fed and he knew where he was, and and all the stuff that he needed to know. Like he's being like, of course, evil Denethor wouldn't do that because he doesn't care about Pippin, but but Denethor does. Real Denethor, my heart cares about Pippin. He cares. Berrigan, my beloved, yes, here he is. Oh Jesus, what would Berrigan's voice be like? He's not that old, so. You are Peregrine the Halfling, he said. No, that doesn't sound right. You are Peregrine the Halfling, he said. I am told that you have been sworn to the service of the Lord of the City. Welcome. He held out his hand, and Pippin took it. I am named Berrigan, son of Baranor. I have no duty this morning, and I have been sent to you to teach you the passwords and to tell you some of the many things that no doubt you will wish to know. And for my part, I would learn of you also, for never before have we seen a halfling in this land, and though we have heard rumour of them, is said of them in any tale we know. Moreover, you're a friend of Mithrandir. Do you know him well? Well, said Pippin, I have known of him all my short life, as you might say, and lately I have travelled far with him. But there is much to read in that book, and I cannot claim to have seen more than a page or two. Yet perhaps I know him as well as any but a few. Aragorn was the only one in our company, I think, who really knew him. Aragorn? Said Beragund. Who was he? I love it. I love it. Oh, stammered Pippin. He was a man who went about with us. I think he's in Rohan now. You have been to Rohan, I hear. There is much that I would ask you of that land also, for we put much of what little hope we have in its people. But I am forgetting my errand, which was first to answer that what you would ask. What would you know, Master Peregrine? Uh, well, said Pippin, if I may venture to say so, rather a burning question in my mind at present is, well, what about breakfast and all that? I mean, what are the meal times, if you understand me? And where is the dining room, if there is one? And the inns? I looked, but never one could I see as we rode up, though I had been borne up by the hope of a draught of ale as soon as we came to the homes of wise and courtly men. Berrigand looked at him gravely. An old campaigner, I see, he said. They say that men who go warring afield look ever to the next hope of food and of drink, though I am not a travelled man myself. Then you have not eaten yet to-day? Well, yes, to speak in courtesy, yes, said Pippin, but no more than a cup of wine and a white cake or two by the kindness of your lord. But he racked me for it with an hour of questions, and that is hungry work. Peregrine laughed. At the table, small men may do the greater deeds, we say. But you have broken your fast as well as any man in the citadel, and with greater honour. This is a fortress and a tower of guard, and is now in posture of war. We rise ere the sun, and take our morsel in the grey light, and go to our duties at the opening hour. Oh, but do not despair, he laughed again, seeing the dismay in Pippin's face. Those who have had heavy duty take somewhat to refresh their strength in the mid-morning. Then there is nuncheon at noon, or after as duties allow, and men gather for the day meal, and such mirth as there still may be about the hour of sunset. Come, we will walk a little, and then go find us some refreshment, and eat and drink on the battlement, and survey the fair morning. Oh, one moment, said Pippin, blushing. Greed or hunger, by your courtesy, put it out of my mind, but Gandalf, Mithrandir, as you call him, asked me to see to his horse, Shadowfax, a great steed of Rohan, and the apple of the king's eye, I am told, though he has given him to Mithrandir for his services. I think his new master loves the beast better than he loves many men. and if his goodwill is of any value in this city, you will treat Shadowfax with all the honor, with greater kindness than you have treated this hobbit, if it is possible. A hobbit? Said Beregrind. Oh, that is what we call ourselves, said Pippin. "I am glad to learn it," said Beregrind, "for now I may say that strange accents do not mar fair speech, and hobbits are a fair-spoken folk. But come, you shall make me acquainted with this good horse. I love beasts, and we see them seldom in this stony city, for my people came from the mountain vales, and before that from Ithilien. But fear not, the visit shall be short, a mere call of courtesy, and we will go thence to Buttery's." "Oh, we're buffering?" "No. Buffering? Still? Still buffering? My KBS is up, so it shouldn't be buffering too much." "That's terrible. I hate that. Give me a... I mean, that doesn't make sense because my KBS ratio is fine. Like, it's staying as it should." I will go and check on my downstairs folk and everybody else, but, that's odd. Okay, well, we'll put up the break. Ugh! You're looking very funny. You're looking like a little deer. A little deer. I'm just grab your legs and lift you up. Are you going back up? How is it now? Has it been still buffering? Is it still buffering for everybody? Hang on. I will. On my way. Ah, damn it. Yes, I think maybe if we've gotten to the buffering, we've I've been going for 3 hours now. So I think it's probably time. Probably time to call it. And I need my supper anyway. Supper's ready already, so I need to eat. So I think probably I will leave it there.
Well, listen, I've been reading for 3 hours, and we got through, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pages in 3 hours is what we got through this time. So that's good. We'll finish the Return of the King by like back in 2022, maybe. All right. Okay. Thank you all very much, everybody, for coming. And I'll hopefully see you all on Friday as well, because I'm doing this on Friday again. If you could all tell me when I say now, then I can stop the stream.